Welcome back to Daily English Talk. I'm Jack.
And I'm Emma.
Typically when we sit down to record these deep dives, I like to think I'm coming from a place of, well, competence.
Right.
But looking at the topic for today, how to break the ice with strangers, I have to confess something right off the bat. I had a complete system failure yesterday.
A system failure. That sounds a little ominous. What exactly happened?
It was the classic meet cute setup, or at least it should have been. I was at the public library just browsing the history section, and there was this woman standing a few feet away looking at these massive, dusty volumes on the Roman Empire.
Okay, great setting.
Yeah, and she just had this really cool, intelligent vibe about her. And I wanted to say hello. Just make a simple human connection.
The library is a fantastic setting for that. It's low stakes. You clearly have shared interests.
Theoretically, yes.
Mhm.
In practice, I completely froze. I mean, my heart started hammering against my ribs. I'm talking a full-on techno beat.
Yeah.
My palms were sweating. I actually opened my mouth to speak, and it was like my brain just completely disconnected from my vocal cords.
Wow.
I stood there for maybe 10 seconds of excruciating silence, just staring. And then I just turned around and walked away.
Oh, that is a visceral description of a very common experience. Honestly, what you're describing isn't just shyness. In the linguistic research we're looking at today, that specific paralysis is often referred to as the high effective filter.
High effective filter. That sounds like a mechanical part in a car engine that needs replacing or something.
It kind of acts like one. It's actually a concept popularized by the linguist Stephen Krashen. Think of it like a mental blockade.
Okay.
When your anxiety, your stress, or even just your self-consciousness spikes, this filter goes up.
Yeah.
And when it's high, it doesn't just make you feel awkward, it literally blocks the neural pathways required for language production.
So it literally stops you from talking.
Exactly. It prevents all that vocabulary and grammar from reaching the part of your brain that actually speaks.
So it's not that I suddenly forgot how to speak English. It's that the stress chemically prevented me from accessing the language.
Precisely. The input is blocked and the output is just frozen. It's a physiological response to what your brain perceives as a social threat.
Okay, that makes me feel slightly better. I wasn't just being cowardly, I was fighting my own biology.
You really were.
But here's the thing. I don't want to live like that. I left the library feeling terrible. I didn't want to be creepy by just staring and not speaking, but I also really regretted missing the chance to make a new friend.
And that right there is the core tension of this entire deep dive. We have this dual drive, the intense desire to connect versus the paralyzing fear of being intrusive.
Yeah, exactly.
But the material we have for today argues that this isn't a personality problem, it's a strategy problem.
Right, because the sources mention using functional templates.
Exactly. We aren't going to just sit here and tell you to be brave. That doesn't work.
It really doesn't.
We're going to look at the mechanics of a safe interaction. For all the learners out there, we're going to analyze safe, polite, and culturally appropriate scripts that lower that effective filter by basically removing the uncertainty.
I love that.
Yeah.
I like the idea of treating this like a script or a cheat code.
Yeah.
Because if I know exactly what to say, the anxiety should naturally drop.
That's the theory. So to do this, I want to look at a case study from our source material. There's a transcript here of what linguists would consider a model interaction in a bookstore.
Okay.
Instead of us just improvising, let's break down this text line by line to see why it actually works.
Okay, I have the transcript right here. So let's establish the setting. It's a quiet bookstore. Imagine the sound of pages turning, very relaxed.
Perfect.
So I'm going to play the initiator. I'm psyching myself up to approach a stranger, let's call her Chloe, who's looking at some travel books.
Go for it.
Okay. The interaction starts with me saying, "Excuse me."
And Chloe looks up and says, "Oh, hi." Now let's pause right there. Just 2 words. Excuse me. Why do you think the source material highlights this as the single most viable opener, especially for A1 and A2 learners? Why not just say hey or hi?
Well, hey feels a bit aggressive. Or maybe just way too familiar for someone you've never met.
It is. It's entirely about territory. In English-speaking cultures specifically, personal space is a very high-value concept.
Oh, absolutely.
When you approach a stranger, you are technically committing a social intrusion. Hey demands their attention. Asks for permission.
Ah, so it's an apology.
It is an apology. It signals your intent. It basically says, I recognize I am entering your bubble, and I am asking for a brief moment of your time.
And that works better.
Much better. It immediately lowers the defenses of the other person because you've established right off the bat that you are polite and socially aware.
It's like knocking on the door before barging into the room.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've knocked. Let's look at the next line in the transcript. I say, I noticed you're looking at books about Italy. Are you planning a trip?
And Chloe responds, actually, yes. I'm going to Rome next month.
Right.
Now, this is the critical pivot. The source material calls this the contextual observation.
Contextual observation. This seems to be the ultimate antidote to the awkward silence. I've noticed that if you just say hi and wait, the pressure on both people is just unbearable.
Yes, because hi puts the entire burden on the stranger to figure out why you are there. By using a contextual observation, you are using a technique called triangulation.
Triangulation, like tracking a cell phone.
Sort of, but socially. Imagine a triangle. Point A is you, point B is the stranger. If you just look directly at each other, the tension is incredibly high. You need point C.
A third object to focus on.
Exactly. A third object, in this case, it's the travel book.
So we aren't talking about me, and we aren't talking about you. We are talking about it.
Precisely. It shifts the heavy focus off the individuals and puts it onto the shared environment.
That makes so much sense.
It could be the book, it could be the ridiculously long line at the coffee shop, it could be the weather. It grounds the conversation in a shared reality. It proves to the other person that you aren't just hitting on them out of nowhere. You are simply an observer of the world you both happen to inhabit right now.
That feels so much safer. It's not, hey, I like your face. It's, hey, I see this book.
Much safer.
Okay, let's proceed with the transcript. I say, that's amazing. I've always wanted to go there. By the way, my name is Jack.
And Chloe says, nice to meet you, Jack. I'm Chloe.
All right.
Now, there is a tiny phrase in your line that is doing a huge amount of heavy lifting. Did you catch it?
By the way.
Yes. In linguistics, we call this a discourse marker or a filler chunk. It seems completely meaningless, but it's actually a vital structural bridge.
It signals a transition, right?
Okay.
Because going straight from Italy is cool to I am Jack is a pretty hard left turn.
It would be incredibly jarring. Without that bridge, you sound robotic or, again, overly aggressive. By the way, softens the pivot.
It prepares them.
Yes. It tells the listener, okay, the transactional part of this chat is over, and now I am signaling a desire to move to a relational level.
It manages the flow?
Yeah.
It's just like using your turn signal before changing lanes on the highway. You don't just blindly swerve into I am Jack.
Exactly. It gives the stranger that crucial split second to mentally prepare for the personal introduction.
Okay, now we get to the part of the transcript that I actually found the most fascinating. This is the exit strategy.
Pay close attention to this part.
So I say, nice to meet you, Chloe. Sorry to interrupt your reading, but do you recommend this author?
And she answers.
And then I say, great to know. We'll have a wonderful trip. Sorry to interrupt. And then I just walk away.
This is, without a doubt, the most important cultural point in this entire deep dive.
But it seems so counterintuitive to me. I mean, I approached this person because I wanted to talk to them. Why am I leaving so quickly?
Because the absolute number one fear a stranger has when they are approached isn't stranger danger, it's entrapment.
Entrapment.
Yes. The moment you walk up, they are thinking, how long is this person going to talk to me? Am I stuck here? How do I get out of this politely?
Oh, wow. So by providing the exit myself, I'm proving that I'm not a trap.
You are actively signaling safety. By saying sorry to interrupt and actively ending the interaction yourself, you adhere to what psychologists call the peak end rule.
Peak end rule. What is that?
It means people judge an experience largely based on how it felt at its peak emotional moment and at its end.
So if I linger way too long and it gets awkward, the end is bad. So their whole memory of me is bad.
Precisely. If you leave while the energy is still high and positive, you are remembered as that charming, polite person who made a brief, pleasant connection. But if you stay until you both run out of things to say, you become the lingerer.
The weird guy hovering in the history section.
Correct. You want to leave them wanting more, not checking their watch. It's actually a power move, paradoxically. It shows you have your own busy life to get back to.
Okay, so let's review the structure. Which is the knock. Then the contextual observation, the triangle. Then, by the way, the bridge. And finally, the exit strategy, the release.
That's the formula.
It looks so simple on paper. But Emma, we have to circle back to the actual physiology of it. Even if I have this script literally tattooed on the back of my hands might still be shaking when I try to use it.
That's the high effective filter coming back.
Right. So how do we actually hack the biology?
Yeah.
Because understanding the script cognitively is one thing, but the fear is physical.
Well, the research in our sources suggests a method that is translated as awkward therapy.
Awkward therapy. I'm going to assume this doesn't involve lying on a comfortable couch with a sympathetic listener.
Quite the opposite. It's
Ah,
a form of cognitive behavioral therapy focused heavily on desensitization. The core idea here is that you are afraid of the awkwardness because your brain falsely interprets social rejection as a literal survival threat.
which makes sense evolutionarily. Like back in the day, if the tribe rejects you, you die in the wilderness.
Exactly. But in a modern bookstore, you aren't going to die. So you have to actively prove that to your amygdala. And the strategy is to deliberately seek out rejection or awkwardness.
Wait, so I should try to fail?
You need to reframe the goal. Right now, your goal is, I must have a perfect, flawless conversation. That is incredibly high pressure.
It is.
The awkward therapy goal is simply survive an awkward moment.
Wow, that changes the metric completely. If I stumble over my words or there's a weird silence, I haven't failed. I have actually hit my target.
Yes, you are just collecting data points. You are teaching your nervous system through experience that getting stuck is uncomfortable, sure, but it's completely safe.
It really reminds me of the spotlight effect.
Hmm.
We always walk around thinking everyone is watching us, analyzing our every little mistake. But in reality, everyone is just thinking about themselves.
Exactly. The stranger isn't standing there analyzing your English grammar. They're usually just wondering if they look awkward. If you can embrace the stumble, even laugh at it, you win.
Yeah, the sources actually mention self-mockery as a key tool here.
It's a very powerful one. If you accidentally say, I am Jack way too loudly, or you completely forget a basic word, simply acknowledging it breaks all the tension.
Right.
Saying something like, wow, sorry, I haven't had my coffee yet today, or I completely forgot how to speak English for a second there, makes you infinitely more relatable.
It shows confidence, really. Only a secure person can joke about their own failure in real time.
Vulnerability is a massive strength. It actually lowers the other person's affective filter, too.
Okay, so we have the script and we have the psychological reframe. But we definitely need to practice this before we go live in the real world. And the sources suggest a specific communicative task for this.
Yes, and this is something every single one of you listening can do at home. It's called soliloquizing.
Soliloquizing. That sounds very Shakespearean. Is that really just a fancy academic word for talking to yourself?
It is, but with very specific intent. It involves standing right in front of a mirror and role-playing with the stranger.
Why the mirror, though? Why not just practice it in my head?
Because in your head, you are perfect. Your internal monologue is incredibly fluent, but your mouth is a muscle. You need to bridge the gap between your cognitive understanding and your physical motor skill. You need to look at your own face and actually hear your own voice out loud.
The source material also suggests recording this practice session, which I have to say sounds like pure torture. Nobody likes hearing their own voice on tape.
It is painful, I admit, but it's entirely necessary. And here is the specific thing you need to listen for when you play it back. Are you being a drama king or a drama queen?
Wait, what? I thought we wanted to sound natural.
We do, but here is the secret about speaking a second language, or honestly, even public speaking in your first language. Anxiety makes us flat.
Oh, I see.
It constricts our vocal range. We tend to mumble. To sound normal and friendly to a stranger, you often have to dial up your energy about 20% higher than what actually feels comfortable to you in the moment.
So if I feel like I'm totally overacting, I probably sound just right to the person listening.
Exactly. If you listen to your recording and you think you sound a little bit like an overly enthusiastic cartoon character, you're probably on the right track. You need that prosody, the dynamic rise and fall of the voice, to properly convey friendliness and warmth.
Okay, so here is the battle plan for everyone listening, and frankly for myself. Step 1, the mirror work. Run the script. Contextual observation, the bridge and the exit. Record it, and really dial up the drama.
Yes. And then step 2, the field test.
Right. The awkward therapy. I'm going to set a personal quota, 3 awkward conversations this week.
And remember, if the conversation happens to go perfectly, well, that's great. But if it completely crashes and burns, that still counts towards the quota. You literally cannot lose this game.
That is such a liberating mindset. I'm intentionally going out to collect 3 failures.
And we want to hear about those failures. We want you, the listeners, to send in your stories. Did you accidentally propose marriage while asking someone for the time? Did you completely forget your own name? Let us know.
Those stories are always the best ones anyway. Nobody sits around telling stories about the time they successfully bought a cup of coffee without any issues.
Exactly. The mistakes and the messy interactions are where the actual learning happens.
You know, thinking back to my library disaster yesterday, If I had just used the contextual observation, I could have just pointed at the massive stack of books she was holding and said, wow, that looks like a heavy workout.
That would have been absolutely perfect. It's witty, it's observational, and it's completely low pressure.
Next time. Going back to the library tomorrow. But before we wrap up, I was just thinking about something that goes beyond just learning English.
What's that?
With all the dating apps and social media we use today, we are so incredibly used to just swiping and texting from the safety of our couches.
Oh, entirely. It's all screens now.
Right. So actually having the guts to walk up to someone in real life, using these functional templates, it's almost becoming a lost art. If you can actually do this, it's basically a superpower.
That is such a profound point. The digital age makes genuine in-person interaction rare. If you can master this simple script, you will completely stand out from the crowd of people who are just hiding behind their phones. You're giving yourself a massive advantage in life.
Solid advice. So to everyone listening, don't let the high effective filter win. Lower the wall, take a deep breath, and just say, excuse me.
You truly never know who you might meet.
Until next time, keep talking.